Hi there, I'm Andrew Miller, Program Director at the Aquin Gymnasium. I'm going to be talking to you today about creating landing pages using ChatGPT. And by the way, the Aquin Gymnasium offers free courses for digital creatives. Check us out at thegymnasium.com. And perhaps you've seen this slide a few times already today, but just as a reminder, please use the chat for questions, review us on G2 for chances to win prizes, and the recordings will be available after the session. So as an introduction, I want to offer some alternative titles for this presentation. The first being using AI to get past gray boxes and lorem ipsum as soon as possible. My background is in design, and I admit that I've made my share of those nebulous gray boxes. I too have shrugged my shoulders and copy pasted those magical and non committal Latin phrases in place of real words. I've also been painfully aware of the downsides of those so called conveniences, the placeholders. And as a designer, I've also faced the anguish of the blank canvas. Let's see if AI can be a remedy for that. So, in the next 15 minutes, I'm hoping to give you a novel way of thinking about AI and how generative AI tools like ChatGPT can be helpful assistants in the design studio. I'll show you two approaches to generating a mockup with ChatGPT, and I hope that you'll be inspired to give it a shot if you aren't already doing so. So, why not lorem ipsum? It's a great question, one that we could probably spend hours talking about. In my experience, lorem ipsum fails at many or most of its intended practical purposes. It doesn't do a good job simulating the size, shape, or flow of the actual or eventual copy. When we show work to our clients, they're likely to be more confused or distracted by it, which is actually the opposite of its purported purpose. From a more philosophical perspective, it suggests that somehow textual content is separate from design, or even less important than the design. And of course, too many design projects are not content first initiatives anyway, but rather content last. But don't despair, even a room full of robots using typewriters, even backwards, will be more useful than our beloved friend Lorem. Okay, I said we were going to make a landing page mockup, so let's get cracking. I'll start by stating the obvious. We're sketching out concepts here. We're prototyping. The goal is to work quickly and to try things out. After all, design is a conversation we have with ourselves, with our medium, with our stakeholders, and with our teammates. It's an iterative process, but you can really only iterate once you've got a starting point. Now let's see if generative AI can help us get there quickly. So here's the task. Our client is Priority Bicycles. Like many, their marketing content tends to be very product focused, and we're going to be pitching a lifestyle marketing campaign that targets some specific audiences, and we're going to need landing pages for each, starting with one for the electric bike, the e-Coast, for an audience of college students. Okay, here's a typical starting point for a landing page. There's a hero, there's some features, a call to action. Our first approach is going to be using this wireframe and to get ChatGPT to generate the copy for the parts. We'll want hero text. We want those 3 feature sections with their titles and copy, and we'll need a call to action. And I'm aware that this isn't exactly content first design, but stick with me. It'll make sense. Now, since this is about lifestyles and affinities rather than product features, we need to think about what would appeal to a college student. We have some ideas, but we'd want to validate them. And we could do a Google search for sure. And we'd probably end up getting a lot of articles and websites that have detailed information about marketing to college students in general. And while that might be interesting or useful, we don't have the time for that. So we really need to think about what those 3 feature sections are going to be. And so I'm going to use this very simple prompt to see what ChatGPT can tell us. So the prompt is, I'm marketing e-bikes to college students. What are the three most important factors to focus on? And voila, ChatGPT delivers. We've we've got three key factors. You can see two of them right now, um, and as well as specific benefits of e-bikes specifically to consider in our marketing strategy. Um, so, for example, the affordability and cost savings section, the recommendation is to highlight how using an e-bike can save money compared to other transportation options. Now, if you're wondering why I'm using ChatGPT 3.5 for this demonstration, it's kind of simple. I'm hoping to show you how much value you can get from the version of this technology that doesn't cost anything. And certainly you can pay more and get more with GPT-4. But for our purposes, the unpaid version is more than adequate. Okay, so we've got affordability, we've got convenience, and we've got sustainability, each with suggested highlights of what we could focus on. And there's also a bonus tip, a recommendation to include a student discount. So thanks, ChatGPT. You rock. Let's get started on that hero copy. Okay, so this is the first prompt for actual content. So what I want to do is specify what I want, which in this case is 20 words of copy, um, for an e-bike named eCoast. And the audience is college students. And I'm offering some shaping details to make sure that the result matches what we're looking for. So I specify focusing on the value of earth friendliness. Don't know why I didn't say sustainability, but that's okay. Convenience and value. Like magic, we get this. Not bad, right? I like the style, although maybe it needs to be a little bit more hip. I'm not sure. We could just press the regenerate button in the interface and get another version based on the same prompt. Or we can be more directive. And since ChatGPT keeps the context of our conversation, I can just say, do that again, and it knows what I mean. In this case, do that again in a humorous, casual, and personal tone. And we get something that's definitely different. Meet eCoast, your study buddy with an eco twist. I don't like it at all. Ditch the sprint, cruise campus cool. I'm not feeling that. Um, so let's do that again, but less corny. And sure enough, roll in with eCoast, college life, but make it effortless. Zoom through campus, no sweat. It's the cool way to go green. It's better. I don't love it, but again, it's better than lorem ipsum. And at this point, we're moving forward. So let's drop it into our primitive wireframe along with the titles of those three sections. I've truncated them a bit, so just one word: value, convenience, and sustainability. It's starting to look a little bit like a wireframe now. Okay, let's tackle the feature content. So since we want a little bit more content for those sections, let's try 30 words. And so here I specify write 30 words or less about the convenience of the eCoast. And we get eCoast, your shortcut to hassle-free rides, zip through campus traffic, no parking stress. I like it, although I feel like there's a bit of a problem. That last line, charge up, roll out, it's the convenient, eco-smart way to navigate college life. That's fine. It's just it's going to be in a section that says convenience. I don't like that it's got the word convenient. So let's say do that again, but don't use the word convenience. And cool, we get a response. Now, in the interest of time, I'm going to skip the play-by-play of getting the copy for value and sustainability as well. I followed the same technique. And I think in both cases, I needed to specify don't use the word sustainable and don't use the word value. But that's cool. And now we're going to write a call to action. And I think what we want to do is write a call to action that promotes finding the local dealership and arranging a test ride. So let's do exactly that. And what a surprise, we get exactly that. Ready to ride the e-coast wave, find your local dealer now. And let's put it into our wireframe. Okay, this mock-up is already starting to be more useful than lorem ipsum. I'll tell you why. It's actually communicating our intention. It also gives our clients and stakeholders something meaningful to respond to. Now, we're still looking at gray boxes. And it's far easier to imagine what sorts of images might be there now that we have content and context. Um, and honestly, a few minutes in Figma and a few minutes with Midjourney or Bing Image Creator or Adobe Firefly, we've got something that's starting to look real. And it's a starting point. Now, granted, this is not an innovative design. This is not a groundbreaking landing page, not yet. But what this is something meaningful that we can start to play with. We can start to explore interesting layouts, and we can move content around, and it makes sense. Okay, let's take it up a notch. This is our second approach, and this is going to be a little bit more sophisticated. We're going to have ChatGPT conjure up an entire landing page from concept to copy. We're taking advantage of one of the core tenets of AI prompting, which is this idea that the more detail and context you can provide in your prompt, the more likely the result will meet your intention. So consider the difference between going to the counter in a coffee shop and saying, "I want a coffee," versus "I want a medium cappuccino with extra foam." Now, here's our more complex prompt. Now, the, there are a lot of words. I'll break it down for you. The first part is you're an award-winning advertising copywriter. Now, this sets the role that we're expecting AI to play. The bar is high as an advertising copywriter who has won awards. The what we wanted to produce is create two concepts for a marketing landing page for an e-bike called the e-coast that targets an audience of college students. Okay, so that's all the stuff that we were using before, right? We were just having it come up with specific bits and pieces of content, not the overall concept. Let's see what comes back. The other thing to mention is that I've also included a line at the bottom that says include detailed prompts for images that would complement the content. And we'll see if we can get some help with the artwork. All right. So here's the result. I have to say, this is really pretty mind blowing. What we've got is two concepts. I'm going to show you one of them. The first one, concept number one, seamless commute, sustainable future. We've got a headline, we've got a sub headline, we've got body copy, and then we have key selling points that are arranged specifically to align with the three things that we pointed out were the important features or factors. Effortless commute, right? So convenience, sustainable lifestyle, sustainable, and smart investment, which is value. We've got a call to action, and we've got image prompts. And these image prompts aren't like, well, I never would have thought about that myself, but they're certainly things to try. And obviously, we could regenerate this prompt result a few times until we get something that sounds much tastier. Before I go, I do want to share just a couple of passing last thoughts for you. So the one is that if you're developing personas, for example, for your design work, if you use those details as part of your prompting strategy, I think you'll get some really rich results. That being said, there are things that you should never put into a prompt, and that includes PII, proprietary information, company secrets, your social security number, personal details, etc. The reason being that that content gets fed right back into the retraining cycle of that language model, You definitely don't want your social security number showing up when somebody's doing a mock-up in a few months' time. Um, the other thing to mention is that this is an exciting time. There are lots of tools. They're changing all the time. The technology is moving at such a fast pace. Don't be afraid. Dive in, find the tools you like, try them out, experiment and explore, find the limits, find your interests, and practice. It's a tool, and the better you get at using it, the more helpful it'll be to you. And the last point is generative AI imagines and fabricates things. That's its job. It's a feature, not a bug. The humanness of the responses can be quite charismatic. So just be warned. You should double check and triple check all the things that it tells you because it sounds very compelling, but it may not be right. Okay, well, so coming up next, we have Jim Tower, who's the Director of Customer Solutions at Robohead, and he's going to keep the ChatGPT thing going by showing you how to analyze reports and enjoy.